I'm Naomi, and this is my story of how my sister Clara tried to bury me, but I grew stronger, taller, and outshined her. Born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, I was always the quiet one, the good daughter who followed the rules. Clara, 3 years younger than me at 29 now, was the star. Our parents saw her as perfect, the golden child who could do no wrong. I shrank myself so she could shine brighter. For years, I let it slide, thinking that's just how families worked. But Clara took it too far, and I had to rise up from the dirt she threw on me. Clara didn't just walk into a room, she owned it. People's eyes followed her like magnets. At church, the pastor always praised her singing voice. Even the neighbor who mowed his lawn without a shirt every Saturday waved extra big at her. Me? I was the responsible one. Mom asked me to babysit her cousins, run to the store for milk, or calm things down when arguments started. I didn't mind at first. It felt good to help. But I noticed how Mom's face lit up like Christmas lights when Clara entered, and how it faded when she looked at me. That hurt, planting a tiny seed of bitterness deep inside. I tried to ignore it, telling myself sisters were supposed to be different. Clara got the easy smiles, I got the chores. Our house in Atlanta was cozy, with big windows letting in the Georgia sun, but even there, Clara's light seemed to block mine. Dad called her his little princess, buying her toys and clothes, while I wore hand-me-downs. School was the same. Teachers loved her charm, even when she skipped homework. I studied hard, got good grades, but no one threw parties for that. One day, I caught Clara mimicking me behind my back, making our friends laugh. I pretended not to see, but that seed grew a little. Still, I loved her. She was my sister. We shared secrets under the covers at night, giggling about boys. But as we got older, those giggles turned sharp. Clara started taking credit from my ideas, like when I planned a family picnic and she told everyone it was hers. I let it go, thinking it didn't matter. But deep down, it did. The bitterness spread like weeds in a garden. And one summer evening, Clara proved just how deep she was willing to dig. Just before you continue to watch, Feminine Revenge would like you to subscribe to this channel and like this video. It would encourage us to keep this streak of thrilling revenge stories for you to watch. All right, back to the story. That summer was hot and sticky in Atlanta, the kind where sweat drips down your back just sitting still. I worked 2 jobs, one at a diner flipping burgers, the other stocking shelves at a grocery store to save for college tuition. Clara? She lounged by the pool, tanning her skin golden. For her 19th birthday, Dad surprised her with a shiny new car, red like a cherry. "You deserve it, sweetie," he said, hugging her tight. I smiled, happy for her, but my savings account had only a few $100. Her party was at our backyard. String lights twinkling, music blasting. Friends and family crowded around, toasting Clara. She grabbed the mic for a speech. "Thanks to everyone, especially my big sis Naomi for teaching me responsibility," she said, her voice sweet as pie. But her tone made it sound like I was her servant, always cleaning up messes. People laughed, clapping. I forced a grin, my fists tight under the tablecloth. Then she leaned in closer to the mic. "Maybe Naomi will find a guy if she works half as hard on her looks as she does on her books." The crowd roared with laughter. My cheeks burned hot. I wanted to yell, but I bit my tongue. Inside, something snapped like a dry twig. The party went on, Clara dancing in the center, everyone cheering. I slipped away to the kitchen, splashing water on my face. How could she say that? We were sisters. But as I stared at my reflection, plain and tired from work, doubt crept in. Maybe she was right. Aaron from work had asked me out once, but I said no, too busy. Now, I wondered. The night ended with fireworks, but for me, it was the start of darkness. I didn't know then. That would be the night she started actively trying to ruin me. After that birthday party, I threw myself into job hunting. I finally got an interview at a big marketing firm in downtown Atlanta. It was my chance to break free, to stand on my own 2 feet without Clara's shadow looming over me. The night before, she knocked on my door, batting her eyelashes. "Naomi, can I borrow your blazer? Mine's at the cleaners, and I promise I'll press it and have it back by morning." I hesitated, but handed it over. What could go wrong? Big mistake. The next day, I yanked open my closet, and there it was, crumpled at the bottom, smeared with greasy makeup stains that looked like they'd been rubbed in on purpose. My heart sank like a stone in a pond. No time to fix it. I grabbed my backup dress, the one with wrinkles from being shoved in a drawer, and dashed out. The interview went okay, I thought, but my mind kept drifting to how sloppy I must have looked. A few days later, an email popped up from the recruiter. "We appreciate your time, but your presentation seemed careless. We're going with someone else." Careless? Me? I'd planned every detail. Anger bubbled up, but I pushed it down. Little did I know, this was just the start. Later that week, I learned it hadn't been an accident at all. The family buzzed with excitement for our cousin's wedding out in the suburbs. White tents, flowers everywhere, and that sweet Georgia breeze carrying laughter. I mingled, trying to shake off the job flop, sipping wine to steady my nerves. Then, as I passed 2 aunts chatting by the cake table, I caught my name. "Naomi's a sweet girl, but Clara says she's unstable." The words hit like a slap in my face. I froze, wine glass trembling in my hand. Unstable? Me? The one who held everything together? I edged closer, pretending to fix my shoe. They whispered more. Clara had told them I was too fragile for the real world, that I'd crack under pressure and never make it alone. My blood boiled. How long had she been spreading this poison? At family dinners? Church groups? I wanted to storm over, yell the truth, but I bit my lip hard. If I blew up, I'd look exactly like the crazy one she painted me as. So I plastered on a smile, joined the dance floor, and acted normal. But inside, a storm raged. Keeping quiet felt like handing her a shovel to dig my grave deeper. But silence only gave her more power. One sticky Atlanta evening, I crept down the hallway toward the kitchen light. Voices floated out. Clara's smooth as honey, Mom's soft and trusting. I froze at the corner, heart thumping like a drum in my chest. Clara was spinning tales. "Naomi's been secretly drinking, Mom, and she's lying about her school debt, piling it up without telling anyone." My blood turned to ice. None of it was true. I'd never touched a drop, and my debts were from hard work, not secrets. But Clara said it like she was my guardian angel, exposing me to save me. Mom sighed deep, the sound stabbing me like a knife. "Oh, Naomi," she murmured, disappointment thick in her voice. I wanted to burst in, shout the truth, but my feet stayed glued. Later, Mom pulled me aside in the living room. I said, "Is there something you need to tell me?" she asked. I denied it all, but her doubt lingered like fog. Words bounced off her. Clara's lies had sunk in too deep. Defending myself felt like yelling into the wind. That betrayal cut sharper than any whisper at a wedding, and Clara was about to push things even further. Things shifted when I met Aaron at my temp job in a downtown office. He was kind, with warm brown eyes and a laugh that made my days brighter. We started dating quietly, coffee runs turning into dinners under Atlanta's twinkling city lights. For once, I had something pure, untouched by Clara's reach. He praised my grit, my drive, qualities Mom and Dad overlooked at home. "You're the real deal, Naomi," he'd say, squeezing my hand. It felt like breathing fresh air after years underground. But one Friday night at our favorite Italian spot, Clara bumped into us. "What a coincidence," she chirped, sliding into a chair uninvited, her low-cut dress hugging every curve. She tossed her hair, laughing too loud at Aaron's jokes, her hand brushing his arm. My stomach knotted like twisted ropes, but Aaron patted my knee. "You're overthinking, babe," he whispered. I forced a nod, wanting to trust him, but doubt gnawed at me. Clara left with a wink, and the night soured. Days passed normally, but a chill crept in, until I found out what Clara whispered in his ear. Aaron started pulling away, slow at first, like a tide going out. Texts came less often, short and dry. He canceled our weekend plans twice, blaming work. At the office, he dodged my eyes, mumbling excuses. My gut twisted. I knew something was off. Finally, I cornered him in the break room after hours. "What's going on?" I demanded, voice shaky. He sighed, rubbing his neck. "Clara talked to me that night at dinner. Said you're just using me as a stepping stone to get ahead, that you're not serious about us, about love." My chest caught fire, rage boiling up. Clara's poison had spread beyond family whispers, tainting the one bright spot in my life. Aaron muttered sorry, eyes on the floor. "I need space to think," he said. I nodded numb, walking out into the Atlanta rain that matched my tears. How could she? We'd shared laughs over pizza, dreams under stars. Now it was crumbling because of her lies. I tried calling him later, but the space grew wider, days turning to silence. That space became permanent. Losing Aaron hit like a freight train, smashing me to pieces. I locked myself in the bathroom, tears mixing with shower water so no one heard my sobs. Every memory replayed, Clara stealing the spotlight at holidays, her laugh drowning mine. For the first time, doubt whispered loud. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was weak, always second best, buried under her shine. I stared at the mirror, eyes red, wondering if I'd ever stand tall. But in that dark pit, something sparked. Anger, sharp as a knife, hot as Georgia asphalt in July. It wasn't just hurt anymore. It was fuel. If I kept quiet, she'd keep piling dirt on me, deeper and deeper, until I couldn't breathe. No more. I dried my face, squared my shoulders. The old Naomi shrank away, but a new one stirred, ready to push back. Little did I know, the first chance to fight would drop right in my lap quicker than a summer storm. And the first opportunity to fight back came sooner than I expected. Against the odds, I snagged an internship at a fancy fashion PR firm right in the heart of Atlanta. It was the kind of gig Clara had whispered about wanting, but she never got the call. When I told the family over dinner, her smile stretched too wide, like a rubber band ready to snap. "Congrats, sis. You deserve it," she cooed, but her eyes flickered with something dark. I didn't buy the sweetness for a second. My first week flew by, learning ropes, meeting folks, feeling like I belonged somewhere. But then whispers started in the break room. "Heard Naomi got caught plagiarizing press releases," someone muttered. My boss pulled me aside, brow furrowed. "Is this true?" she asked. My mouth went dry. I'd written every word myself, pouring hours into them. Who would spread such a lie? Deep down, I knew. Clara's jealousy had followed me here, like a shadow that wouldn't fade. The office buzzed with doubt, eyes glancing my way. I kept my head high, but inside, fury simmered. This wasn't just kid stuff anymore, and I knew exactly who was behind it. No more tears for me. Instead of crumbling, I rolled up my sleeves and got to work digging for the truth. I snuck into the IT room after hours, heart pounding like a drum in a quiet church. Checking the printer logs, there it was, clear as day. Someone had printed a fake press release using my login, but the timestamp showed I wasn't even in the building. I'd been at lunch across town. Proof in black and white. The next morning, my boss called me into her office, arms crossed. I laid out the logs calmly, watching her face shift from stern to shocked. Her jaw clenched tight. "I'm sorry, Naomi. I shouldn't have jumped to conclusions," she said, shaking her head. The rumor died quick after that, and folks started treating me normal again. But I didn't stop there. I tucked those logs away, adding them to a growing file of Clara's dirty tricks. She thought she was clever, pulling strings from afar. Little did she know, every move she made was stacking up against her. But Clara didn't know I was building a case against her. That night, after clearing my name at the internship, I couldn't sleep. The Atlanta humidity clung to my skin like a bad memory. As I sat at my old wooden desk, lamp casting long shadows, I grabbed a notebook and started listing everything. Every sabotage, every lie Clara had spun. The blazer stain, the wedding whispers, the kitchen tales to Mom, the poison words to Aaron, the plagiarism rumor. My pen flew across the pages, filling them in under an hour. Staring at the list, it hit me like a thunderclap. This wasn't just sibling jealousy, the kind where sisters squabble over clothes or boys. No, Clara wanted me gone, erased, buried under her perfect life. My hands shook, but not from fear, from a burning rage that spread through my veins like wildfire. For years, I'd let her walk over me, thinking it was my role as the big sister. But no more. That list was my map out of the darkness. I tore off the pages, tucked them safe in a drawer. From then on, I vowed to fight smart, not just react. I stopped being her victim that night. Clara lived for the spotlight, especially on social media. Her Instagram was like her personal throne, filled with selfies and stories that made her look like a queen. I knew that's where she'd slip up, so I got clever. I made a fake account, pretending to be a big fan, gushing over her posts. "Love your style," I'd comment, heart emojis everywhere. She ate it up, following back and chatting in DMs. Over the next few weeks, she let her guard down, spilling secrets she thought were safe. Plans to badmouth me at my job, schemes to charm my boss into thinking I was lazy. My fingers trembled as I screenshotted every word, saving them like bullets in a gun. For the first time, I wasn't chasing her shadow. I was setting a trap, watching her strut right into it. The Atlanta nights grew cooler, but my resolve heated up. She'd dig her own hole, and I'd be there to push her in. It felt powerful, like turning the tables in a game she'd always won. And then came the post that gave me the opening I needed. Clara's big slip came on a rainy Atlanta afternoon, the kind where thunder rumbles like an angry stomach. I was scrolling through my fake account's DMs when her post popped up, a selfie in a fancy coffee shop, caption bragging. "Crushing my competition at work and at home, stole a guy's heart and a job spot without breaking a sweat. Hashtag boss moves." She didn't tag me, but the timing screamed it. Right after Aaron ghosted and the internship rumor fizzled, my heart pounded like a jackhammer as I hit save on every screenshot. This wasn't hearsay anymore. It was cold, hard proof, glowing on my screen. I could picture her typing it, smirking, thinking no one would connect the dots. But I did. For weeks, I'd collected her spills like breadcrumbs leading to her downfall. Now with this, I had a full loaf. Excitement mixed with nerves. Finally, receipts to shove in faces. All I needed was the perfect storm to unleash them. That moment came when she tried to humiliate me publicly. Mom's birthday dinner was at our favorite steakhouse in Midtown Atlanta. Candles flickering on the table like tiny stars. Family gathered, laughing over appetizers, the air thick with garlic and warmth. Clara, ever the center, raised her glass high. Here's to Naomi, still searching for love, still searching for success, but at least she tries. The table chuckled politely, forks clinking. That old fire ignited in my chest, hot as a branding iron. But this time, I didn't gulp it down. I met her eyes, smiling like butter wouldn't melt in my mouth. Funny, Clara. But should I read your last Instagram caption out loud? The one about crushing competition and stealing hearts? Her fork hung frozen midair, face paling like she'd seen a ghost. The chuckles died quick, replaced with awkward coughs. Dad's eyebrows shot up. Mom glanced between us. For once, Clara's quick tongue failed her. No comeback, no laugh to brush it off. The silence was delicious. The tension at Mom's birthday table hung thick as Atlanta fog after a storm. Everyone's eyes bounced between Clara and me, forks paused halfway to mouths. Clara let out a nervous giggle, waving her hand like swatting a fly. "Oh, come on, Naomi's just joking," she said, voice cracking a bit. But Dad's eyes narrowed sharp, locking on her instead of me for once. Suspicion flickered there, like a light bulb about to pop. Mom shifted uneasy in her chair, glancing at Clara with a hint of doubt. It was tiny, that shift, but oh, it tasted sweet, like the first bite of revenge pie. For years, they'd seen her as gold and me as rust. Now, a crack spiderwebbed across her shiny mask. I didn't push more that night, letting the awkward silence simmer. But inside, plans brewed hot. I'd widen that crack until it split wide open. No more hiding in her shadow. It was my turn to step into the sun. And my next move would shatter her reputation completely. The firm's annual gala lit up a swanky Atlanta ballroom, chandeliers sparkling like diamonds in the night sky. I wore my best dress, feeling tall for once, mingling with coworkers who now nodded respect my way. Then Clara swept in uninvited, red satin hugging her like a second skin, turning heads as she always did. She zeroed in on my boss, fluttering lashes and laughing loud at his lame jokes. "Naomi's sweet, but she's not cutthroat enough for this game," she said, voice carrying like a bad echo. My blood simmered, but I stayed cool. Slipping my phone out, I sidled up and showed him the screenshots, Clara's own words bragging about sabotage, clear as day. His face darkened like storm clouds rolling in, jaw set tight. Mid-sentence, he cut her off sharp. "Excuse us," he muttered, grabbing her arm and marching her toward the door like yesterday's trash. She sputtered protests, but the room buzzed with whispers. Heads turned my way, this time with nods of approval. Victory hummed in my veins, but the fight wasn't over. But I wasn't finished yet. News of Clara's antics spread like wildfire through dry Georgia brush after that gala. First, whispers at the firm turned into full-blown chatter, folks calling her jealous, toxic, a real saboteur. My boss even warned others about her type. Then it jumped to family friends, church groups, even the neighborhood barbecue circuit in Atlanta. "Did you hear about Clara? Try to wreck her own sister's life," they'd say, shaking heads. She fought back hard, posting online that I was framing her, twisting facts like a pretzel. But those screenshots? Ironclad, glowing proof no one could ignore. Her golden girl image cracked wide, shards falling everywhere. For the first time, people saw me as the strong one, nodding respect my way. It felt like emerging from a long tunnel into sunlight. But Clara, she clawed at the edges, desperate. Texts blew up my phone. Denials, pleas, threats veiled as jokes. I ignored them, letting the backlash build. Still, Clara wasn't going down without a fight. One stormy Atlanta night, thunder rumbling like distant cannons. My apartment door banged open. There stood Clara, mascara running black rivers down her cheeks, hair wild as a tornado-tossed bush. She stormed in, slamming it shut, eyes blazing. "You ruined everything," she screamed, voice cracking like lightning. "You stole my spotlight, you thief." As if that shine was her birthright, handed down like an old family Bible. My hands trembled on the coffee mug I held, hot liquid sloshing, but I didn't step back. For once, I stood firm, meeting her glare. I never wanted your spotlight, Clara, I said steady, words sharp as thorns. I just wanted my life, without your poison dripping into every corner. She paced like a caged tiger, breath ragged, flinging accusations, how I'd always been jealous, how this was payback for nothing. But her words bounced off me now, hollow echoes. Then she stopped, face twisting ugly. Her response chilled me to the bone. Clara's face twisted closer, her breath hot on my cheek like steam from a boiling kettle. If I can't have the spotlight, neither will you, she whispered, eyes narrowing to slits. My stomach flipped like a bad carnival ride, dropping fast. This wasn't her usual games. No more sneaky whispers or borrowed blazers ruined on purpose. This was a raw threat promising to drag me down into whatever mud she wallowed in. I backed up a step, door frame hard against my spine, realizing this had crossed from sister squabbles to something darker, like a backyard brawl turning into a full-on feud. War. That's what it felt like now, with battle lines drawn right through our family home in Atlanta. Her words hung in the air, thick as Georgia humidity, chilling my bones despite the warm night. She spun on her heel and stormed out, leaving me shaking. But in that fear, resolve hardened like concrete setting quick. No more playing defense. And war meant I needed stronger weapons. The next morning, sunlight sliced through my blinds like sharp knives, but I was already up, gathering my arsenal. Screenshots, printer logs, emails, every scrap of proof stacked neat on my kitchen table. I drove downtown to a lawyer's office, heart racing faster than Atlanta traffic. The man behind the desk, suit crisp as fresh bills, flipped through my folder, nodding slow. Defamation, harassment, malicious interference, he said, listing them like ingredients in a recipe for justice. You've got a solid case here, Naomi. She buried herself deep. Now you just hand over the shovel. His smile was small but sure, and it lit a fire in me. Filing those papers later that day sent a rush through my veins, electric and unstoppable, like finally tasting victory after years of bitter defeats. Clara would get served soon, and the thought made me stand taller. But I wasn't done swinging. I saved one last card for the final blow. Thanksgiving rolled around, the Atlanta air crisp with fall leaves crunching underfoot. Our family crammed into the dining room, turkey steaming in the center, sides piled high like mountains. Laughter bounced off walls at first, but I waited for my moment. Midway through the meal, I slid a thick folder across the table, right next to the gravy boat. Take a look, I said, calm, like passing the salt. Inside spilled the truth. Screenshots of Clara's brags, emails proving her lies, printer logs from the internship mess. Aunts and uncles flipped pages, faces draining white as milk. Mom gasped sharp, hand over her mouth. Dad shook his head slow, disbelief etching deep lines on his forehead. Clara sat like a statue, forks slipping from her fingers to clatter loud on the plate. The room went still, forks hovering, eyes wide. No more chatter, just the weight of her secrets laid bare. For years, they'd bought her act, but now the curtain ripped open. But the real silence came after my announcement. I pushed back my chair and stood tall, the room spinning a bit from nerves, but my voice held steady as a rock. I'm pressing charges, I declared, words dropping like bombs in the quiet. Gas erupted everywhere. Cousins choking on pie, uncles muttering low. Clara's mouth flapped open and shut, like a goldfish flipped out of its bowl onto dry land. No snappy comeback this time. No fake giggle to smooth it over. Just pure, stunned silence wrapping the table like a heavy blanket. Mom's eyes welled up. Dad's fists clenched white-knuckled on the tablecloth. The family stared at me, some nodding slow, others whispering shock. I'd held back for so long, but now the dam broke. Clara's empire of lies crumbled right there amid the mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce.
Victory tasted sweet, mixed with a turkey, but I knew her too well. She wouldn't fold easy. But she still had one last move to play.
A few days after that explosive Thanksgiving, rain pounded my Atlanta apartment like angry fists on a door. I was sipping coffee, staring out at the gray sky, when a knock came. Soft at first, then desperate. I opened up, and there Clara stood, soaked through, mascara painting black streaks down her face like a bad watercolor. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing hard. "Please, Naomi, drop the case," she begged, voice breaking like thin glass. "I've learnt my lesson. I swear I'll change." For a heartbeat, pity stirred. I glimpsed the little sister I'd shared ice cream cones with on hot summer days, the one who'd braid my hair before school, laughter we'd buried under years of hurt. But then memories flooded back. The stained blazer, Aaron's cold shoulder, whispers that cut deep as knives. Every scar she'd carved into my soul throbbed fresh. My heart turned to stone, heavy and unyielding. No more chances. And I gave her my final answer. I shut the door on Clara's pleas that rainy night, my resolve firm as Georgia clay baked hard in the sun. I didn't drop the case. Weeks later, court papers flew, and she faced the music, fines, community service, her name splashed in local news like mud on a white dress. Her reputation shattered, friends scattering like leaves in a fall wind. Meanwhile, mine soared. At the PR firm, they promoted me to lead coordinator, folks clapping my back, respecting the grit I'd honed in the trenches. I shone bright, free at last, no shadow dimming my light. The irony hit sweet. Clara's dirt, meant to bury me, had fertilized my growth instead. I stood taller, stronger, blooming where she tried to stomp me down. Family dinners grew quieter, eyes on me with new admiration. But even as peace settled like dust after a storm, a fire still burned. But I wasn't done telling my story. And that's why I'm sharing this story now, looking back from my cozy Atlanta home where sunlight pours in like a warm hug. To anyone who's felt overshadowed, pushed down by a loved one who should have lifted you up, don't quit. That dirt they throw, it ain't the end. It's fertilizer for your roots. Like a seed buried deep in Georgia soil, you gotta push through the dark to sprout tall and green. I did. Clara tried to snuff me out, but I broke free, blooming brighter than a 4th of July firework. My career's thriving, friends true, and family's eyes finally see me clear. No more shrinking. As for Clara, she's faded into the background, learning hard lessons in the shadows she once cast. But true revenge ain't about smashing them flat. It's rising so high, they can't touch you. Proving you can bloom strong and free while they wilt away. If you're buried right now, hold on. Your breakthrough's coming, and it'll outshine them all. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, comment, and smash the subscribe button. Also, check out other videos on the channel. Feminine Revenge has got more thrilling stories for you.